Looks like alliance, so we will stand for a moment of silence. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I call the February 22nd, 2022 Board of Aldermen meeting to order. City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Kim Vickers.
Here.
Jim Shrout.
Here.
Jeremy Taylor.
Here.
Brandy Carroll. Kelly Netto.
Here.
Brad Alexander.
Present.
And Mayor Dana Webb.
Here, thank you. The next item on the agenda is new business, deletions, or continuances to the agenda. Tonight, we do have some new business to add to the agenda that was just brought to me this evening. At this time, you have the information, or do they have it in front of them? You have the information in front of you, and at this time, I will let Chief talk about the new business.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for allowing me to present this tonight. I know it wasn't on the original agenda. This is in regards to our annual grant submission through the state of Missouri for both hazardous moving enforcement and DWI enforcement. Luckily, I had a grant administrator that was watching the timelines and noticed that the deadline was approaching because this is actually the grant for 2023 that we put in for in February of 22 to not be administered until October 1 in the fiscal years of the state. And so we did make it, which is why it's in front of you this evening. So what this is we are seeking your permission to submit for the grant. Under the hazardous moving violation, it would cover the cost of the officers working the overtime details to ensure safe traffic passage. It would also have some requests for equipment, being the LED speed signs, as well as the LiDAR, which are radar replacements for the patrol cars. That we are requesting $16,560 this year from the state of Missouri. These are requests that we put in each year, understanding what the equipment needs are. It's not that we will receive that. They will always give us the personnel time to work the traffic. We do have to kind of wait until the end of the year to see what equipment is available and which they can provide. The DWI grant itself covers the personnel cost of the overtime at Fringe, as well as a conference that we do send one officer a year to the LETSAC conference, which is the DWI state conference that they are trained by the state attorneys on the prosecution side, as well as the training for an additional type 2, which is the officer who takes care of the the breath analysis machine that we have. And so what I'm asking tonight is the permission to apply for these grants, which are for the 2023 hazardous moving enforcement and DWI enforcement. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Thank you.
I make a motion that we approve the request for the grant submission for the hazardous moving vehicle enforcement and the DWI DUI enforcement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the grant for the HMV and the DWI DUI enforcement. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is public comments. City Clerk, do we have any?
There are none.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. These items are considered on this consent agenda so that members of the Board of Aldermen, by unanimous consent, can designate routine items to be approved by one motion. Tonight, we have approval of the February 7th, 2022 Board of Aldermen meeting minutes, expenditures through February 10th, 2022, and the January 2022 financial statements.
I make the motion to approve the consent agenda. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is unfinished business. We do not have any of that tonight, so we will move on to the first item on the agenda, which is discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding an ordinance of the City of Oak Grove, Missouri, amending Section 700.185 regarding uniform terms of payment for utilities, including terms of collection, disconnect for non-payment, disputed bill, and payment arrangement policies. Would that be you, Mr. Randall?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So the ordinance amending this section really just affects one area of our current process. And the reason for this is trying to be responsive to changes in mail delivery with the U.S. Postal Service. So to talk a little bit about our current process, right now meters are read, water meters are read around the 28th of each month. Bills are then printed and mailed on the 15th of each month. Customers then have until the 10th of the next month to pay their bill, and non-payment after the 10th would be considered late. Bills not paid in full would be subject to disconnect on the 21st. So for example, meters read on the 28th of December, bills were mailed out on January 15th. They would be considered late if not paid by February 10th, and then subject to disconnect on the 21st of February. So in that time, the February 15th bill would be mailed out. In the past, customers typically received that bill prior to the shut-off on the 21st, being 6 days between the 15th and the 21st. But again, however, due to changes, we've noticed, and we also received calls, that more and more customers are not getting that second bill prior to that shut-off. Now, while our first bill is considered the first and final notice, that second bill has historically served as a reminder to folks to make sure that their payments are in, not to be disconnected. So the changes to this ordinance would push back the shut-off date from the 21st to the 24th. In addition, bills will be printed out and mailed on the 12th instead of the 15th. So essentially, this would allow for 12 days between the second bill being mailed out and shut off instead of the existing 6 days. The hope is that this will allow the second bill to reach customers prior to disconnect and give them additional time to make their account current. I would also like to add that customers can also sign up for free alerts, either text message or email through Express Bill Pay, and that would be the most timely way to get information on bills. This won't affect anything else that we're currently doing, but we're hopeful that this would help alleviate some of those issues caused by later mail delivery. So with that, happy to answer any questions the board may have.
I think this is a good idea. I love that we're giving citizens a little bit of an additional time for reminders. Does this present any problems for staff? Does it add anything to their to-dos or make it a little bit more difficult? Or
No, we've talked about that extensively, trying to figure out the best ways to adjust this. And really the best way to do it was to push back the shut-off by 3 days and then move up printing by 3 days, and that wouldn't affect anything on the back ends of either of those times.
Okay.
It would still give us time to do the things we need to do for meter readings, rereads, shut-offs, and then reconnects prior to then reading again on the 28th.
okay, thank you so much.
I do like that idea too, but what is the percentage of non-payment? I mean, is it great? Is it large?
Yeah, so we probably average around 100 shut-offs
A month?
a month. We've got 3,200 customers. So.
Yeah. Well, maybe that'll help that then.
Yeah, we're hopeful that would at least eliminate some. Maybe 20, 30 more folks will get, that second bill and reconnect, get their payments done. In addition to, we also looked into the software that prints our bills, and we'll be adding some additional language to that second bill if there is a late fee, a late amount on there. Some additional, bold red lettering to let them know that there's a danger of disconnect if their account still is past due.
And
Like
just, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I like it. I mean, I think it'll be even less office work for you all in anger put on the office people.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, staff, we don't like shutting folks off. That's not, our intent, something we want to do.
I think you'll like it.
If we do a work order and go to shut someone off and they pay, that's also another work order that's generated to turn them back on.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at 100 disconnects, that's actually 200 work orders. So it is a lot of staff, both for office folks as well as for our field staff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just one more thing, I just want to clarify, when you say second bill, that's actually not an additional bill, it's the following month's bill that will say past due amount on it, correct?
Correct, yeah,
Okay,
thank you for
I
the
just want to
clarification.
clarify
We-
that they're-
Right, we only
yeah.
send one bill, that technically is not a second bill, it's the next month's bill.
Yes. I
But
just
that
want to
next month
clarify.
bill will show if there's, current charges or previous charges unpaid. So,
Okay.
but, correct, we have one bill, that bill serves as your first and final notice.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
So do the majority of people mail in or drop off? Do not many people use auto pay, whether it be through their bank or through our system?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, prefer to probably pull those numbers and give you and the board a report of the ones that are in the Dropbox versus mail-in versus, auto pay.
I move for first and second reading of the proposed ordinance by title only.
Second?
We have a motion and a second for the first and second reading of the proposed ordinance by title only. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. City Clerk, would you please read the full bill 2 times?
An ordinance of the City of Oak Grove, Missouri, amending Section 700.185 regarding uniform terms of payment for utilities, including terms of collection, disconnection for non-payment, disputed bill, and payment arrangement policies. An ordinance of the City of Oak Grove, Missouri, amending Section 700.185 regarding uniform terms of payment for utilities, including terms of collection, disconnection for non-payment, disputed bill, and payment arrangement policies.
I move for adoption of the ordinance.
Second?
We have a motion and a second for the adoption of the ordinance. Any discussion? City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Kim Vickers,
Yes.
Jim Shrout,
Yes?
Jeremy Taylor,
Yes.
Brandy Carroll,
Yes.
Kelly Netto,
Yes.
Brad Alexander.
Yes.
The ordinance is approved. The next item on the agenda is discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding establishing a rental fee for the birthday room rental during aquatic season. Is that you, Scott?
Yes, so the park board met, we discussed the fee that would be established as a recommendation before the board, and they recommended the $100 for first 2 hours and $45 for each additional hour. This is going to be something that's new, it's a new space, new rentable income, so it may have to be adjusted later on after we get some feedback. If the demand is extremely high, we obviously have too many people waiting in line, we would then come back before the board to look at raising those fees. But we feel this is competitive and should provide that extra option for people to have a space to rent for a birthday room that's less than a pool party, but still in line with having their own space for that event. And this is during open swim only.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
So just to kind of clarify on this, if I can.
Sure, yeah, please.
So this is like when the pool is open day to day, people want to come for a birthday celebration without paying for a pool party, and they can rent that birthday room for 2 hours for the $100. Now, that does not cover like people coming into the pool.
Correct.
Okay, so if they wanted like the whole pool and people covered where they wouldn't have to pay, then they would have to do the pool party.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
just wanted to make sure that got.
Yeah, because it's blocked off, yeah.
Yep.
Kelly knows this information from being the park board liaison.
Yes.
Thank you, Kelly.
I make a motion that we approve the $100 rental fee for the birthday room of the pool with $45, for $100 for every 2 hours with an additional $45 for every hour afterwards.
Second.
Have a motion and a second regarding establishing the rental fee for the birthday room. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is a presentation by Ward Development regarding Edgewood Farms and proposed R1 residential subdivision. Is it, who gives the,
Mayor, we should have a representative from More Development. I believe Brian, in the presentation. This is regarding Edgewood Farms. It's a preliminary plat that was approved back in September. by the Planning and Zoning Commission pending an approved development agreement.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Brian Ron, Board Development, and thank you for your time this evening. We're excited to come here and tell you a little bit more about the project, answer any questions that you have. We did put together a little presentation. There's been, some questions primarily focused around, what type of homes and that type of thing. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity to see some of the floor plans, some of the ideas of what types of homes, and answer the questions that you have. The first slide just basically showing the overall project. So, these homes are going to be semi-custom homes. So, as we've done Oaks of Edgewood and, some projects there, we have different tiers of homes. So what we consider, like there in Oaks of Edgewood, we have like tier 1, tier 2, homes, and then, this is the next level up. So, for us as a builder, we would be considered semi-custom. So, we're looking in that 400. Unfortunately, due to the cost of everything right now, it doesn't buy as much as it used to, but, right now we're in that 400 plus range. And, typically in other neighborhoods similar to this, which would be, if you're familiar with, say, Woodbury in Grain Valley, or Eagles Ridge in Blue Springs, or Parkway in Blue Springs, this is that next level of home. And in those neighborhoods, we do often work with some other, approved builders that even do the next level above, which would be a truly custom home. So you likely to see upwards, for example, in Woodbury, where there are some homes in there in the 6s, at this point in time. So, as we go through here, styles of homes, typically, we're going to be looking at, in Woodbury, again, I just keep using that example because it's going to be very similar. Bulk of those homes are, 4 bedrooms in excess of 2,000 square feet. We have worked with the city to come up with some guidelines for this neighborhood, that we would have a 1,600 square foot minimum on the main floor for ranch homes, qualifications for 2-story homes, and some ideas of what types of plans and elevations and stuff like that we would have, as you go down the street, and the exterior materials, that would be fitting of, the neighborhood. And as you go through here, I think we put about 3 or 4 plans. The Quimby floor plan, for example, it is our most popular plan. Depending on the lot size, it can either be done as a 2-car or a 3-car plan. There is a mix of lot sizes within the project. And that plan there would be in excess of 1,600 square feet on the main floor. And then, most of the time, that one would have a finished lower level. Same thing with some of the 2-story plans. The Deming, is a 4-bedroom 2-story. The next one, I think, which might be the Gateway, again, that's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths up, over 1,600 square feet, with an additional 900 on the lower level, which is typically finished. The Brightwood, again, a very popular 2-story for us. So, these are kind of the product that we're looking at for this project, which is a little different than, what you've seen before. So we wanted to, get with you and answer questions that you might have on this neighborhood versus, some other neighborhoods that we're working in.
Thank you.
So,
So are you saying that these plans are not the ones that are currently in Oaks of Edgewood?
There
'Cause
are.
these look familiar.
Yeah, there are, for example, when we look at that Quimby plan, it's our most popular plan in this tier. Well, we do have a smaller version also of it
Oh, gotcha.
that is in Oaks of Edgewood, which is a 1,400 square foot first floor, and I believe we call it the Ashland. Very similar, just a smaller version of
Yeah.
that home. And that's common with some of these designs. This is just kind of going to that next level. And the same way with the products. You know, now, Oaks of Edgewood, beautiful homes. You know, the quality and the products that go into it, you know, are very, very nice. I mean, they're granite countertops. A lot of the similar products in there, we do have stone and stuff like that on the front of many of them. You know, like I said, this is just the next level up.
Sure. Okay.
So these are the only house plans that are gonna be in that neighborhood, or there's the potential for split levels in there?
So this is not the only home plans that are gonna be in there. We do have, you know, some split type of designs that could be put in there. You know, a little bit different than Oaks of Edgewood again. Now, the way the grade works in the neighborhood, I mean, you just have to have some homes that work on a sloped lot. But, you know, for the cost of the homes and the development costs are gonna be driving that quite a bit. You know, it's a different product than what you see in Oaks Edgewood. You know, in other words, you know, a higher, more, you know, fancier version of some other ones. And then there's also some, you know, reverses and stuff like that that work on some of those lots. You know, unfortunately, just due to the topography, everything can't be a ranch or a two-story.
Sure,
It just-
I mean, I agree, I get that. A concern I have is just that I don't want the whole street lined with split levels on each side. You know, like if you're sparingly put them in, nothing that's wrong with split levels, but sometimes it starts to look very cookie cutter, and I just don't want it to be another neighborhood like that. I think that,
And we absolutely agree. We don't think that would be appropriate for this neighborhood. And we have worked with the city to come up with some guidelines that, you know, would help dictate that. You know, for example, I have here, you know, we wouldn't have any one floor plan or style encompassing more than 50% of the neighborhood. We wouldn't have any exterior elevations that are the same side by side. You know, some of those things to address that. And, you know, again, the cost, you know, the target market for this neighborhood is it's gonna push some of that as well. And one of the other slides that I have here, you know, again, shows some, I think it might be a previous one to this, shows some of our building partners. These are the folks that really do the truly custom. All right, and there, you're gonna see, you know, now these two particular builders, we have not identified exactly who those would be and exactly how that'll work. We're just pretty preliminary. But in our other neighborhoods, similar neighborhoods to this, these two homes right here are True Mark and Dave Richards. You know, those are two builders that are approved builders in 3 of our other neighborhoods. True Mark, you know, most of our neighborhoods, theirs are 5 to 6, you know, and they will do a lot more on the custom side than what we're set up for, so.
I mean, I'm excited to develop that neighborhood, and, you know, I want it to look nice. That's kind of our only thing that we've discussed.
On average, how many of your truly custom homes do generally go in your neighborhoods? Is it like 1 or 9 or?
Well,
how many?
it does vary, so, again, I can only use like Woodbury and Eagles Ridge, as examples, you know, because they're close. In both of those neighborhoods, you know, it was about 50-50. In Eagles Ridge right now, I'm not building anything. You know, the custom builders, you know, we're just not really that $500,000-$600,000 builder. We're just not. But the market is driving that right now, so they're the ones that are building in Eagles Ridge at that price point. Woodbury, you know, Dave Richards, True Mark built quite a few homes, and right now in Woodbury, you know, we're building on a few that just, you know, the final lots that they didn't buy. So, but, you know, I can't say for sure what that would be.
Right.
But right now, that's the history.
I think, like Brandy, I agree. My only concern is the cookie cutter. I mean, just even looking at these houses, they're beautiful. They all look so similar. My mother-in-law lives in a house that literally looks the exact same as the house 2 houses away. Her son went over there and went to the wrong house because they are so similar. And that's her whole street. It's just, they all look the same. So I think that that's our major concern.
And it's definitely something that, we're aware of.
Right.
And, we actually, agree that that's not appropriate for this product. Something else that hasn't come up previously that is in this presentation, as we're looking at this product, we're also looking at a clubhouse, a pool, and some amenity things that, weren't originally discussed. So we're looking at, what amenities need to go in here to, again, drive that, that $400,000 to $600,000. It's, people have an expectation of what, what those neighborhoods need to be, and that's our goal.
Right now, we're just looking at it, though, like it's not in the plan to happen. We're just considering it. For
The pool and clubhouse,
pool. Mhm.
as of right now, it is our intention to do that. Tony Ward, who I work for, has directed me to identify, where that's gonna be and, to work those amenities into the design.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it Ron?
Yes, well, I'm sorry, first name's Brian, last name is Ron.
Excuse me.
That's okay.
Brian, so the board's really passionate about, their community and keeping it looking beautiful 20 years from now. People driving through and hopefully not seeing, the same house, one right after another, or driving down a street and, looking on both sides and seeing the exact same house, similar to what Kelly said of walking in the wrong one. So just hear them when they're saying that they take pride in their city, and so they want to look at it. You guys may be gone in 20 years, they may be too, but they want people that come in later to look at a neighborhood and see, diversity and
Sure.
difference in the neighborhood. So I
Absolutely.
think that's kind of what we're talking about, right?
Yes, agree.
Can you tell me what your role is at Ward?
I'm Director of Project Development, so, what I do there is, projects like this, kind of from the initial, we have a piece of ground, work with our engineers to develop the concept, work with our marketing people to develop the plans, what's gonna be appropriate, for that neighborhood, and to kind of work through this process. So, basically, I'm the guy between, they buy a piece of ground, and then we hand it to the construction team.
Gotcha.
I'm the guy in the middle.
Yeah. So for Edgewood Farms, will Ward Development be including any of their other floor plans that are at Edgewood Farms? Or are you saying what I'm hearing, that they'll only use these and possibly other new ones?
Well, many of the plans that
Are there 5?
that you see at Oaks of Edgewood, for example, wouldn't meet the covenant requirements of
Okay.
what we have here. So now we do have smaller versions over there. Like I said, when I brought the Quimby up, you're like, I've seen that before.
Yeah.
That one's in a smaller version. We have a 1,400 square foot version. So we do, right now, we have probably about 15 standard plans to choose from, but we're not limited there. So as we go into a neighborhood and there's a product that's more appropriate for that neighborhood, we don't have any problems, coming up with new appropriate product. So, what you've seen, Oaks of Edgewood, now, even there, you're up to the $300,000 range with the cost of everything. It's just not, that's not the product that we're looking for here. We're looking for the 3-car garages, more square footage, and, exciting designs that are gonna make people want to spend. This is a very expensive development.
Sure.
It's not an easy site to develop. The cost of materials and everything right now is just pushing a price point that for this to be successful, we have to have something that people are excited about. And at this price point, people are not excited, like you said, about the cookie cutter,
Right.
right down the street.
Yeah. Okay.
Agree.
Does the board have any other questions?
I have one question.
Sure.
You had said something about the split-level homes that you might incorporate in here as well. Would they be in that same price point?
They would, so a little bit different in, design and stuff like that than, your standard split entry. Again, we're looking at 3-car garages and, some open floor plans and things like that. So you would be thinking more of, for a while, the California split was a very popular floor plan. Something a little bigger than that, but that similar, come in, open spaces, that type of thing. The traditional, plan where, you just come in, go up and down, not so much that, I can't say that none of the floor plans do, but, it's more exciting designs that are gonna push this price point. And some of that is also done on the exterior. The front elevation is gonna be, it's what people see. It's what, people help, eliminate that cookie cutter approach. You can only, if, let's say we have 6, 8 floor plans, we could also have 3 exteriors for each of those floor plans to kind of divide that up.
So you have different elevations for each of the floor plans?
Absolutely, yes.
Any other questions for Brian, correct?
I just wanted to comment, I want to thank Ward Construction for bringing such an upscale project to Oak Grove. I think it will be very well received and will be quite the crown jewel for some time to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is information reports. Mr. Randall, do you have one?
No report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mark, do you have one?
Yes, we were visited by the State Emergency Management Agency Region Coordinator 2 weeks ago, and she reviewed our plan. That's a biannual review that we go through, and she had no bad comments on it. She didn't task me with anything to do other than what we normally do.
Outstanding.
First time that's ever happened.
Really? Well done, Mark.
Way to go.
Yeah, good
Congratulations.
job. Chief, do you have a report?
If I may pass on, it's kind of, I'll shorten this down. So one of the first calls that I took upon my appointment in early 2021 was from the Teamsters Union in regards to the theft of their building, which occurred November of 2020. And a puzzling case that the whole ironworks for a building were loaded up in the middle of the night and taken off. And so that became just a tip of the spear for Detective Griffin when he took over. It was amazing that his knowledge of the video from that crime scene led him to recognize some weird markings on the truck that took it and took the material. And he was able to actually stop that truck on the midnight shift and identified that person and worked that case. And we found out last week in my absence that Jackson County issued an arrest warrant for that individual for the theft of that building. And while he was, the detective was out having lunch this week, that individual walked into the same restaurant. So not only in the same week did we get an arrest warrant issued, we arrested the defendant. And so now we'll take that case to trial. And it's just, it's great to be able to acknowledge the work of the detective on this. He put in a year's worth of time on this. It was a large loss, and to have him be able to see it to fruition is just outstanding.
It is.
And also, if I may mention, Captain Chapman has submitted his retirement paperwork, and so we will be having a ceremony here March 11th. We'll have another meeting before then, but I just wanted to get that on the books now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for both of those. Justin, are you reporting anything tonight?
I am. I'm actually happy to announce that our part-time ACO and codes officer started today. Her name is Emily Hart. She comes to Oak Grove with some previous experience at the Independence Animal Shelter, so we think she'll be a fine fit for us.
Good, good. That's great. Good news. Thank you. Kim? Yeah.
I just wanted to remind everyone that March the 6th is the 5th anniversary of the tornado that struck Oak Grove. And we are doing a commemorative event at Webb Park, the pavilion, from 11 to 1. So
Yes.
it should be a nice time to come together as a community and reflect on the tragedy that happened and then what happened afterwards and through, all through it, you know, just a sense of community and support that we know that our town is very well known for.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was actually that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if the weather is inclement and
Yes.
cold, we do have the field house on reserve. So
Thank you, Kim. Anything else?
nothing else.
Okay. That wasn't like a question, you know. Good job. Scott?
No.
All right, thank you. Kim?
No report.
Kelly?
No report.
Jim?
I have no report.
Jeremy?
No report.
Brandy?
Just good job cleaning the streets in the last snowstorm, so otherwise no report.
Brad?
No report.
I don't have a report either. I'm looking for a motion to executive session. Who wants to tackle those numbers?
I make a motion, we, what is it? What's the word?
Adjourn.
Adjourn to executive session 610.021, 1, 2, and 12.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn to executive session 610.021, 1, 2, and 12. City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Oh, yeah.
Kim Vickers,
Here.
Jim Shroud,
Yes.
Jeremy Taylor,
Yes.
Brandy Carroll,
Yes.
Kelly Neto,
Yes.
Brad Alexander,
Yes.